Hello again. I'm always slightly irritated when people like me who oppose unrestricted immigration to Britain are characterised as Little Englanders who wish to pull up the drawbridge and not allow anybody else into the country. This is ridiculous. I am not at all against people coming to live in Britain. However, I would rather they were people who share values which are more common with my own. That is to say, people who speak the same language and have a similar cultural background and heritage. Does anybody remember when we in this country had a special relationship with Australia and Canada? Many of us have relatives in those countries who emigrated there. It used to be common for Australians and Canadians to come to Britain as well. We had a lot in common with each other. At the end of the 19th century, the suggestion was put forward that there should be a scheme for what was then described as Anglo-Saxon intercitizenship, which would mean that those from one Anglo-Saxon country could move freely to and live and work in another. In the 1960s, this idea was fleshed out as the Commonwealth Free Movement Association, later turned into specifically a union of Canada, New Zealand, Australia and the United Kingdom, known by the acronym CANZUK. This would be a union of four great Anglo-Saxon nations linked by language and blood. There would be great advantages to such an Anglo-Saxon union. It would mean that any British citizens who wanted to move somewhere with more wide open spaces would be able to head for the plains of Canada or the deserts of Australia and live and work there with no formalities. Anybody from the other three nations would have the right to enter Britain and settle here for as long as they wished to do so. If at the same time immigration to the four CANZUK nations were to be severely limited or indeed halted to those of other origins, then over the course of time an Anglo-Saxon monoculture would be fostered. Let's be brutally honest, most of us feel that we have far more in common with New Zealanders or Canadians than we do people from Nigeria or Afghanistan. By opening ourselves to immigration only from the three other nations, our own culture would inevitably be strengthened, and this country might regain some of its former character. Another huge advantage of this scheme would be that Canada and Australia have huge mineral resources and other natural resources, timber for example, much else beside. Canada in particular in the north has a huge amount of land to be exploited. There could be anything there, gold, oil, uranium, all the things that would make a union really well off. It is perhaps no fantasy to suggest that a union of this kind could be forged almost into one nation, at least as powerful as the United States or the European Union. Both those other unions are in any case declining, they're becoming feeble. This, on the other hand, would be a new and vigorous union looking forward to the future. I need hardly add that an injection of fresh blood from Anglo-Saxon nations would be of great benefit to Britain. It is sometimes said that because we are an ageing society, this makes immigration from Africa and Asia an inevitable and useful fact of life. Union with those other young nations might change the equation a little. I am all in favour of black pride and nations defining themselves by religion and ethnicity the way that Iran and Syria do. Syria's official name is the Syrian Arab Republic, and nobody has ever objected to that. What difference would there be between using ethnicity in the name of a country in that way and talking of an Anglo-Saxon union? The Anglo-Saxon Union of Canada, New Zealand, Australia and the United Kingdom sounds good to me.